Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Holding Court with the Empress of WeHo. My name's Enoch Miller, your Empress of WeHo, and we're so excited to have you here today. Thank you. We want to give a special shout out to our amazing producers, GayLifeLA.com, as well as Kings Road Apartment Homes, for this amazing space you see here today. And I want to give a great shout out to my amazing man, Bradley, for the beautiful hat I have here today. It's my new crown for season 3. It's so cute, I love it. And I got crown bracelets, so I am all gayed out today for the gods. But we're really excited because we have an amazing guest here today. We have Mr. Baz Francis. Coming all the way from across the pond, visiting us here in sunny California. Actually, you live here in Los Angeles now.
I do, but I came from across the pond.
You came from across the pond.
And I'm going to tell everyone that it was because of you.
Hey! I did it. It's all my fault. You're welcome.
The magnetism.
But you, I'd like to kind of start from the very beginning with you. You're a musician. You do, bass guitar, regular guitar, keyboards, music production, singing, songwriting. You do it all. For you, what really was it like getting into music, and kind of what were your earliest inspirations of what kind of set you on this path of being a musician?
Well, as a kid, it was hearing Queen. And when you hear something that's so audibly colourful,
mm-hmm.
it knocks you off your footing, and you go, oh, I'd love to be able to play like that. And of course, you don't just end up being that proficiency.
You don't just become Queen.
Yeah. So, being a musician myself didn't come until later on, but I think that set the ball in motion.
Okay.
And then I fell in love with Motown.
Okay. Oh wow.
Through my parents. So Marvin Gaye was my real first love, and then the band. They're not so popular out here, but Manic Street Preachers.
Okay.
A Welsh band. They turned me on to learning the guitar.
Okay.
And alongside Queen, they are my favorite band of all time still. So when that happened, I was. That we're talking between the ages of 12 and 15.
Okay.
The ball was set in motion.
The seed was planted, and he was ready to be a rock star. And your sound is very, it's very rock inspired, but it does have a really kind of nice pop element to it that I feel really is nice and catchy, which you like to hear about songs that kind of get stuck in your head, and you like to have those things playing around. You just can't get it out of your head all day. But I love that you play with like the softer and the harder aspects of music, that you do the things that are very kind of sweeter and a little bit more melodious. A couple of your songs have been a little bit more about like love and romance, and so it kind of plays off a little sweeter, and then you'll get the ones that are kind of just like, yeah, you want to jam out to it. What kind of inspired you to go along with this genre and really, obviously like Marvin Gaye, and they kind of have a little bit more of the love song element to it, and Queen's kind of a little bit more of the harder rock kind of spot. What kind of really made you kind of play the line and toe it in between with the two types of hard and soft musics?
Well, we were talking off camera about fluidity of being.
Yeah.
About not subscribing to one particular description and just being who you are and
right.
liking what you like.
Right.
I don't believe in the term guilty pleasure when
right.
it comes to music. If something's good, it's good. And when I'm trying to express a certain sentiment, to go in like really heavy and angry
mm-hmm.
would completely destroy the loving vibe I'm trying to give off. And
Gotcha.
similarly, if I'm coming in and I want to scream,
yeah,
and then the lyrics I'm singing are about rainbows, it's not really going to work.
It's not resonating. I see that. So you're trying not to destroy the emotion behind the music, and really
be sincere, and also I always say genres are just the little divider cards that you see in record stores.
Right.
They don't work for me.
Yeah.
And when people ask me what type of music I do, it's like, just listen to it, make your own mind up, then give me your own.
And it's true. It's really like when you listen to music, it's very hard to say, oh, this is one genre or another. It's really hard to kind of categorize it into some place that you sing with that. So I really like the fact that you do add this whole level of just kind of fluidity with everything, and it just really kind of flows very nicely for whatever you're feeling based on whatever the song is kind of written about. So that's really great. So growing up in like England, and it was the southern part, right? The southern area of England.
Just outside of southwest London.
Okay.
Near Windsor Castle, in fact.
Oh, near Windsor!
Not a Queen.
Yay! And what was kind of the experience with you like doing music in Europe compared to music here in the U.S.? Because I know it's starkly different between the two on how they approach music and how they kind of treat music. For you, what do you find are kind of the biggest differences between European and American music?
It's a little hard to say because I grew up in kind of provincial areas.
Okay.
And I think that if you went to a more provincial and rural area of America, it would be vastly different to an LA or a New York.
Right, true.
So growing up in a town where there were no real music venues growing up, you'd have to get the train to London. And
Okay.
it was still a trek. And now I live here in this beautiful city. There is not one day where there isn't a new opportunity or a new gig.
Yeah.
And similarly, like what I'm doing with you right now wouldn't be something I can do 5 miles from my home.
Right.
I'd have to go really out of my way. It'd probably take me the same amount of time as it took me to drive here today.
LA traffic at its finest. Oh my gosh, it's so true, and it's actually kind of crazy because you really do. I mean, you've played. I mean, friggin' everywhere around here. I mean, like North Hollywood to down in Anaheim to Pasadena. I mean, this area right on here, like Sunset Strip area. I mean, seriously, there's like Fullerton, which is way the hell out there as well too. So when you kind of get these different aspects of running around and seeing all these different parts of the U.S., is there kind of one place you kind of gravitate more toward than others, or is it kind of just it's whatever really the opportunity pops up for you?
I will go wherever the gig's at.
Okay.
And if someone wants me, I would rather play somewhere uncool to a lot of people where I'm wanted than play on Sunset Strip to an audience that just don't care.
Right.
So there's no one town, there is no one venue.
Yeah.
However, if there was to be anything nearing a perfect music town for me personally, it would be the one I live in. That's why I moved here.
Yeah.
I first came to LA 10 years ago and fell in love with it because it was just all the vibrancy that I so wished I'd had growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of glad that I didn't now because I think if I had been brought up in a big city, I'd stand to potentially take for granted all these wonderful things we have around us now.
I can see that. Yeah.
So coming in from the outside has made me definitely take every opportunity going, and I've met so many different people. I've seen so many different parts of this city in the getting to the gigs, and to realise parts of town that I don't particularly care for, and
which there are a lot of,
and parts that I do like, and West Hollywood and Santa Monica, it's all home to me.
Yeah. And I can see, I mean, it's especially out here, especially here on Sunset Strip. I mean, the history with rock and roll music especially, but also just the music scene in general. I mean, it's just so vibrant and has such, I mean, just roots that are just been here for, I mean, decades. And, I mean, people like The Doors, The Who, Led Zeppelin, I mean, stuff at Viper Room. And it's just so much culture here based on such really iconic music. Industry individuals, and I do love to see the whole diversity of it all, especially our local artists. There's such a wide range of local artists such as yourself that really cater to just so many different people, and I think that's why it makes it so you can find anyone you want, you can find the genre you want, you can find the type of music you like, because we have so many different individuals that cater to every different facet of it, which is phenomenal.
That's so funny you should say that. I described LA to someone yesterday back in England who's never been. And I said, LA's not a city, it's a universe.
Oh, it's true.
I said, the only thing you can't get in LA is much architecture that's older than 200 years old.
True.
Apart from that, you want a stuffed monkey at 3 a.m., you'll find that in LA.
Oh, that's so sad because it's true. But it is. I mean, it is the whole aspect of like you can get a world tour sometimes through Los Angeles from little Tokyo to little. I mean, there's so much diversity here, and I love the fact that it all bleeds on top of each other and kind of cross-pollinates so much that you have this very just kind of this exploration, and I love that you call it a universe because it is true. I mean, it's just vast, and there's just so much to see and explore around here, from the very rural parts to the very heavily populated areas here and closer to the mid part of the city. So it's really, I mean, it's just a great place to be, and if you haven't checked it out, you can spend a lifetime seeing everything around here and still not see it all. It's phenomenal.
And it's always changing as well.
Oh God, constantly. It's never the same the next year to the next. So let's talk a little bit about kind of how you got started originally in the late 90s and kind of getting involved in like heavily saying, okay, you're pursuing it. Was there a specific event or something that kind of really set you saying, okay, I'm going to pursue music full time as a career? Was there kind of a moment that you're like, I'm going to start doing this now 100%?
I don't think, to me in my mind, I was always doing it.
Okay.
Even when I was younger and not gigging as much and hadn't got my band together yet, I was always doing music
Okay.
at home and trying to set my great game plan in motion.
So you were already prepping basically up to this point.
And then it just got bigger, and then all of a sudden I started playing outside of the UK, and then I started working with my heroes.
Oh,
and
wow.
then people started to know who I was, some places, and then it just sort of snowballed.
Okay.
And I'm going to do this until the day I die. So if that's tomorrow, then that's to the end.
But he's done it.
I hope it goes on for longer. But yeah, I think I was talking the other day about being a careerist. When I was in school, they sat me down when I was 13 and said, "So what's your career? Because you ain't bright."
Oh, thanks. That's a great guidance counselor.
So I picked one out of the manual, and I was like, I'm not feeling this. And then when I discovered the Manic Street Preachers, and then as a result of that, rock and roll in general.
Yeah.
I mean, once you've looked beyond, beyond the velvet curtain, you can't look back.
No.
You can't see all that colour and vibrancy and then go back to a world of, yeah, so Philip's about to start private school in 2 months' time, and we're a little worried about him.
Oh my God. You can't go to everyday life after seeing behind that curtain. No, it changes you for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so really you were just kind of like, I'm going for it. Okay, and then you started off with a group called Mansion Heights, or Harlots.
Mansion Harlots.
Mansion Harlot.
It's a tongue.
Mansion Harlots. Oh. Okay, first of all, that sounds intriguing in and of itself. What was kind of the general ambiance of that group, and kind of what drew you to getting on board with that?
It was me and my mate Will Gray,
Okay.
who's from a band called Atlantic Fire. Check them out. And we were 2 kids wanting to start a band, and we did our first recordings together. We did our first ever gig together. This is 1998.
Wow.
And then when I went back to Europe this year, we did our first shows together since then,
Wow.
20 years on.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
there'll be a Mansion Harlots album coming out later this year.
Yeah, because I know you guys have been working on that for like almost a year.
Yeah,
in total.
it's been a little while, because with me moving
Right.
in the process as well, it's delayed certain aspects of it, but the artwork and the songs and the concepts for what's coming next
Yeah.
are all coming together, and we played live in England and Luxembourg
Oh wow.
back in March.
Wow, congratulations. And then I
Thank
know
you.
that album finally coming out was a labor of like love and
Oh,
sweat and tears and all of it.
It's certainly been that. But I see some people who just throw out any old
Right.
nonsense, and there's certainly a story behind this album, even before you get into the fact that it's 20 years
Right.
later. So when we did that put in our brain that, we like this, playing on a stage and recording songs, let's do this. So he went on to form Satellite State, which merged into Signal Fire's The Atlantic Fire.
Okay.
I went on to form Magic 8 Ball
Yeah.
and be a solo artist, and we've reconvened to be Mansion Harlots once more.
Yeah, which is exciting. So let's talk about a little bit through Magic 8 Ball, because you started that roughly around like 2013, 2012, 2015.
No, 2006.
Oh, 6. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. 2013
was the
the
first album.
album. That's right. So it's 2006. You guys came together, And I was looking at this, and I really liked because we were talking about this a little bit too. So you originally came up with the name Cartoon Monsters right before you guys were officially kind of together as Magic 8 Ball. So what kind of initially started that whole with Magic or Cartoon Monsters before the real name of Magic 8 Ball? What was the initial reasoning behind doing that?
Well, you see, if you're going to be in a band and you're just going to be called, I don't know, something like Slab or Slob or Grey, you're not going to inspire
Right.
people to check you out. And as I said, Queen was my introduction to rock music.
Right.
And when you make a statement like, you know, Queen
Right.
or
It's just in your
Led
face.
Zeppelin,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it conjures up image of sorcery.
Right.
And Magic 8 Ball conjures up just that, mystery, sorcery.
Yeah.
And I thought it was perfect. And as you can see, I'm adorned with magic.
I love it.
And Magic 8 Balls and Magic 8 Ball. And the peacocks from my first EP with Magic 8 Ball, the
Okay.
Peacock's Tail. And that's my mum's artwork.
Oh wow.
Which is also on my neck as well. So, yes, with Magic 8 Ball, I thought it had just a great sense of splendor.
Yeah.
And when it came to naming our first album, Sorry We're Late But We're Worth the Wait,
Yeah.
I thought that's just so much more interesting than calling it Album 1.
Right. No, it really kind of pulls you in, and I think that's definitely what you're kind of conveying through this is the fact that it really is it's this intrigue, this mystery, this like magic that's behind it all. And I love the videos you have with you did that really kind of captured. I mean, Peacock's Tail, Russian Bullet, like all these, they're captivating, and they really kind of draw you in, and you're just kind of like sitting there like, ooh, what's gonna happen next? The first one was like, because it came out 2010 to 2013 for Sorry We're Late But We're Worth the Wait, and you kind of like you had formed the label for Magic Hat Records, and that was kind of how you guys produced everything through that. And then you released the second EP on the 2011 for Mother Nature's Candy. And so when you kind of coming up with all these different songs for it and kind of putting down everything, how are you kind of all working together to make this work? Because when you have people that are really talented all in one group, personalities can sometimes be bigger than life. What is it like working with, like, aside from being obviously as a solo artist as well, working with a group trying to get everyone's opinions and thoughts and ideas all kind of put together to really create a harmonious album, but still playing to some people's strengths, making sure people are given a little bit of a spotlight so that way it's not all one person. How do you guys like work within that group dynamic?
Well, when I'm in the studio, I tend to work with a very limited group of people.
Okay.
So for the Magic 8 Ball albums, I would be working very closely with the producer Dave Draper.
Okay.
And with Jason Bold on drums.
Okay.
So I was kind of, the rest of the band, the live band, were like, you do your thing, Baz, and we'll come in when we're needed.
Okay.
So they've been super respectful. And,
That's fantastic too.
And with Mansion Harlots, it's a slightly different dynamic. But it was the same with my solo album. I worked very closely with RJ on that, and it's by keeping your group small.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very cleansing.
Yeah.
Because if you have too many people contributing their 2 cents,
Right.
and not everyone's 2 cents is as shiny as
That's called dirty money. But I can totally see that about like just needing to kind of keep it clear, concise, and exactly what you need it to be. So I can totally go with that. So, and then the next one you guys had that was kind of the next really popular album you had, the kind of Last of the Old Romantics, which was around 2014. You guys came out with that one. And this was you and Dave Draper working on this, and then you're also obviously working on a bunch of other stuff as well too with this. But what was the inspiration behind Last of the Old Romantics, and kind of what inspired the title and the music that proceeded with it?
I love the idea of doing a collection of love letters, as it were, and each one telling a different tale.
Yeah.
and not every love letter is necessarily
It's not.
the same. Some are sweet,
Uh-huh.
some are dirty,
Uh-huh.
some are angry, but all done with love.
Yeah.
And when it got to the stage where we were in the studio, we managed, on the strength of our first album, to get my childhood hero, Rick Mail,
Oh, wow.
to narrate my poetry at the start of the album.
And how is that? Because he's not an easy man to lock down. Like, how
Well-
did you guys get that name on there?
Persistence.
Jeez, like, I was at his door, bringing us like, you will be on my next album.
And he came in and did that, and it was just I won't swear, but it was the biggest head-messing experience of my life, because you've got your hero reading your words in a studio for your album. He left, we said goodbye, and a month later he died.
Oh, wow.
And it came out of nowhere, and I am still, and that was a great message to me.
Yeah.
That if I was the sort of person to go, oh, I'll do that another time, or
Yeah.
in the future, I would have.
You had a missed opportunity.
I would have missed an opportunity forever.
Yeah.
And instead, I have that for the ages, that recording, and that to me is very special. And when I listen back to that album, I hear about all these different relationships I've had throughout my life. Some have been failures, some have been very positive, but they just weren't meant to
Yeah.
be, and right through to the present day. So it's a very honest record, and yeah, I'm very happy with that, and it seemed to be popular with a few people too.
Did you feel like you really kind of bore your soul a little bit in the album itself?
That album is still quite hard for me to listen to, because it's for both the Rick element, but also more so actually for the fact that I was singing about my divorce, amongst other things, and about the places you go to with someone after the lover's gone.
Yeah.
And you just think to yourself, wow, it really went a lot, it went completely the different direction to where we started from. And yeah, and the fact that I was writing about it, I jokingly said, well, I'm the last of the old romantics.
Oh, okay. And so that's kind of how it inspired the title. I love that. That's so, and it really is. I mean, I love the fact that you don't just stick to the good times and the good feelings, because it is never like that in a relationship. There is bad, there's ugly, there's happy, there's sad, there's all of it in between. And I really like that it's played very thoroughly through the entire theme of everything with that.
I appreciate it.
And it's great, and it's like that's something you don't wanna be kind of like pussyfooted around when it comes to stuff like that. You want someone to be open and honest and direct and really show the rawness of it all, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. I mean, it's
having
good
your
to
heart
hear.
broken is in some ways worse than a death.
Oh, well, totally.
And I don't think
It's a death that keeps on living.
yeah, exactly. And you go through these things, and sometimes a song will get you right there.
Yeah.
Not because it's going, it'll be alright someday.
Yeah.
It's going, this sucks.
Yeah. And this is why it sucks, and I'm not happy about it.
And just to let you know, if you think your day's sucking, trust me, it's as bad as mine. So you're not alone.
That is so true. And during this time, when you guys had come out with this next album, you guys were actually touring in Europe and doing a tour all through there. What was it like trying to tour, write, and do all these different things at the same time while still keeping your sanity?
But I'm still doing it to this day, all those things, juggling them. And who said anything about me maintaining my sanity?
Never mind, strike that, done.
Apart from that, you just, if you sacrifice your sanity, you can do it all.
So what, when it comes to recording life and actually like tour life, what do you find that you like the most about either one? And then what are the two things you kind of really don't like about either one? So what's your favorite part about it, and then what's your least favorite part about tour life, and then on the flip side, doing recording?
The best and the worst of any town are the people.
Okay.
Like, if you go into a gig and you have a great experience and you come away feeling euphoric, and then someone outside on the street bunches you out the way, you're getting the best of both, and the best and the worst of both worlds. And there is a feeling I get when I've maybe finished a show in Hollywood, for example, and I'm driving home to the West Side, and the show went well, and I'm just looking out the window and looking at this place where I've always wanted to move to. It might not have been the biggest gig I've ever done that night, but that feeling, that feeling of pride and that feeling of I'm where I need to be and doing what I need to do, I would say that's probably my favourite feeling, and also the one thing that keeps me somewhere close to same.
It keeps you grounded in this mortal plane. It just keeps you around.
I'm only around till tomorrow, so...
Which is great. And we're going to do a really quick... we'll have you play for us here in a little bit, but I really want to have you guys hear it was definitely one of my favorite ones on here. And this is going to be... We're going to have Brad come up and play it for us. But it's Don't Let Me Go on, and this is with him and the Magic 8 Balls. And
actually, that's solo.
Oh, it is solo. Oh, okay. Just kidding. It's just solo, and it's really great. And this is kind of your debut album with
my debut solo.
With your debut solo. So this is really, I just really kind of like the funness with it. And if you go on YouTube and watch the video, it's really great too. It's just got that nice playful aspect to it, and like the kind of the cinematography you have with it was really great. I love all the outfits you had on, and really kind of how you played with the. I don't know if it was like a glass or some sort of lens, something that you had.
Magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass. I really kind of like that you were playing with different textures with the video, so it really kind of made it very playful. But it's really great. So we're gonna play a little clip from that, so you guys can get a little bit from Don't Let Me Go On.
Inside the coldest season, what burns inside of me? I'm always broke down. I'm always broke down now. To tell a different story than dress it up the same. Although it pains to tell you, some things will never change. And I'm always broke down. I'm always broke down. Love comes in many shades. So if you wanna talk, I might not read it for you. If you wanna communicate, when you wanna talk, there might not be an answer till that time. Don't let me go on.
That is Baz Francis with Don't Let Me Go On. I love it. I get it. This is like one of those kind of more of the softer side that was just like, it's very playful, it's very fun, but it's still very emotional behind it.
It's got a deeper meaning.
Yes, yeah. So kind of explain to us that, because we're going to kind of transition now into your solo career with everything with that you started, and this was roughly about a year ago. You kind of started out with 2017, getting everything rolling
that's
with
when the solo tour started.
Right.
I'd done solo gigs beforehand, but when I was doing solo gigs, I was playing Magic 8 Ball material.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to do an album that was just under my name. And again, with that album, I really sort of wanted it to be personal, but not at the same time overbearing.
Right.
And with that song, it's very fun and it's very dancey, but at the same time, it's saying, how can I put this delicately? Don't let me turn into an ignorant relative of mine.
Oh, wow.
So don't let me go on for too long.
Gotcha.
Don't let me be a bore, and don't let me be boring.
Yeah, that's great though, and it's kind of like a really. But yeah, like you said, I love the deeper meaning, but it really just, I mean, it makes you feel so light, and it just like it really just kind of keeps you up. I feel like I just love the music behind it. With
turning something negative into positive.
Yeah, exactly, definitely. And the title for your solo album, which I absolutely love, is "The Face That Launched 1,000 Shipwrecks," which is so great. What inspired that? Because that is like the most epic title ever.
I was, my friend Morgan Williams did the painting for the artwork.
Okay.
And the album wasn't going to be called that. And I thought, I want the album title to really be relevant to the artwork. And I thought about my face. I was walking back from the shops and I thought, well, it's the face that launched 1,000 shipwrecks. And as soon as I said that, I laughed to myself, and I thought, can I call the album that? And I thought, yeah, I can.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And people have been, I think, drawn to it, and also I think that in a world where everything's really cleanly packaged,
Yes.
everyone's so like, everyone's so beautiful and white teeth and everything. To have someone with a nose like this come along and just go, yes, but what you don't have is the face that launched 1,000 shipwrecks.
And it's great, and that album art is really, I mean, because it's that whole, it's like that like running kind of like water, I mean not water, like paint running down, like it's not dried completely, and it's really kind of striking, and I love the kind of like the colors that are all kind of intermingled with it, and it's very kind of almost like fluorescent in a sense, where it's got that like not rainbow, but it's like when colors bleed together, and you got that kind of overlap, and it's that really cool ombre effect or whatever in that.
I saw Morgan's work, and I said, I'd love you to paint me like that for my next album.
And it looks great.
And when she painted me, I didn't know at the time, but it would inspire me to come up with the title for the album.
That's amazing.
So Morgan Williams, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. And it's just because it's the white with that, I mean, it's right there in your face, and I think it's really great. And the album itself is all about the ups and downs with love and relationships. It's not like specifically tied to any one thing, but it's a little bit of a compilation of all that. What was, when you were initially writing everything for all the music for it and like kind of putting everything together for the album, did you have a specific goal in mind of wanting to talk about love and relationships, or did it kind of just happen to take on that kind of demographic for it?
I think that is a natural go-to for any songwriter. But with this album, I also wanted to talk about animal rights.
Okay.
But I think had I made every song on the album about that, it would have been a bit too preachy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mingling in my sort of personal life with my personal beliefs about animal rights, I described the album as a record about animal rights and human wrongs.
Yeah, which is really great, and I mean, you definitely see it, and I think it's really what it speaks to so much about it is so you in a package. It really just kind of encapsulates who you are as an individual, and I think that's what any artist wants to come through in their music, is that this is just me, this is everything I am to a T, and really kind of just that comes through the music, and I love the personality you have with it as well. It's fun. Well, and it's just like when you want music that engages you, and you want the person doing the music to engage you as well, and I feel like you do that on every level with it. For like what you do with your music career, I mean, what is hopefully your ultimate goal with music? Like, where do you hope to be here maybe in the next year, 5 years, 10 years? Like, what is your ultimate goal to really achieve in this venture?
I've been having some very morbid thoughts recently. I lost a friend who I saw back in March, having only just visited her in England.
Wow.
I got back to America and she passed away. So that really got me thinking about how temporary this all is.
Yes.
So if I'm around next year, I'd still love to be in LA and still love to be making music in all the different ways in which I do. And then the next year, the same. The next year, and so forth. And if I can still maintain this feeling of joy that I can get from music, as I described, the driving through Beverly Hills after a show. Right. If I can get that sort of feeling, not from the actual big houses I'm looking at, but from within. Right. That's I think that's a pretty nice ambition to have for the future.
Definitely. Well, and it's an authentic one, and I feel like more people need to stop being obsessed about the celebrity, the limelight, all this stuff, and really be true to who you are as an artist and your craft as an artist, and that's what's going to get you through the day to day. So we're going to have you do a little taste for us from the album. You did Saving Graces, and so you're exploring self-acceptance, how others perceive oneself as well, and it's kind of the spoken words at the end of the song, which you can hear on the album, allow listeners to see into your personality and then your kind of the quality you have of everything with that. So,
well, thank you. And with this song, that also features Maria Katharina and Robbie Valentine on the record. with this song, I just wanted to say, I'm not perfect, but in the fact that you see some sort of goodness in me, it makes me feel like I do have some saving graces.
Oh, that's so great. Oh, that's great. BT Dubs, this guitar is fucking amazing. I love all this on here. It's so cool. Especially this is what I grew up on. So.
Oh, you like that?
I totally love it.
Then you might like this.
Yes.
You can't have Butthead without Beavis.
That is true. You can't have one without the other.
I met someone, I'll tell you a quick story. I met someone once, and as I was going to the restroom, I heard them in the background going, "Oh, British people, they sound so classy." And then as I walked out, and I said, "No, let me just explain right now, I'm not classy." And when I later on showed my tattoo, she said, "Oh, you're trashy just like us." And I was like,
Hells to the yeah.
Of course I am.
So this is Saving Graces
Saving
by
Graces.
Baz Francis.
Become as you find to be who we are, but no one's the same hour to hour, day after day. Will be as that may and take things too far. It bores me to say, so help me to find just where I went wrong. But if you take me as I am, to disappoint as the shadow of a man, then there will never come a day when I'm half of what you see. Your saving graces with me. So come as we find and be who you are, when all I can say, it won't help me now. I'll be on my way. But if you take me as I am, to disappoint as the shadow of the man, then there will never come a day when I'm half of what you see. Your saving graces with me. Whatever that keeps you here should nevertheless be clear. You just stick around. But if you take me as I am, to disappoint as the shadow of the man, then there will never come a day when I'm half the man you see. Your saving graces with me. Now you're saving graces with me.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I always love acoustic because you just, and it's that so clear, raw, beautiful music that just like, and there's nothing you can do. There's no auto-tune, there's no nothing, there's no production with it. It is all there in your face, and I love it. So thank you so much for playing that. Oh, hey, I'm excited. For you, I know that I've talked to a lot of musicians, and they say this so much, that it's getting harder and harder to do full albums, and they're starting to do more EPs, more singles. What on your perspective do you feel like with music, kind of the way it's transitioning, becoming a little bit more like digital, on demand, very easy to access? Do you find it harder to put a whole album together, or are you starting to drift more to singles? Like, what do you see on your perspective with that genre of everything kind of moving away from full on like a 12-track album or something like that?
People have a short attention span,
right?
And that has become more and more prevalent with the growth of the internet. And with the growth of the internet, people are less and less inclined to buy music,
right?
When they can get it for free,
right?
A lot of people don't care about the quality, the audio quality.
Right.
They just want things there
right
and then.
Yeah.
And they think that free is a good deal. So if I have, without wanting to sound pretentious, if I have an artistic vision for an album, I'll want to see that through.
Okay.
And I'm not going to play to the cheap seats simply because, people are only prepared to buy 4 songs.
Right.
But technically, most people are not prepared to even buy that. They
right.
want to go on Spotify and listen to it for a nominal amount.
Right.
So it is hard. It's hard selling CDs when people don't have CD players anymore.
Right.
So
oh my gosh, it's so right.
Downloads have become important. But I try not to let the passing fads of the era influence what I want to do artistically, because remember there was a time where people thought that vinyl was dead.
That's true.
And now that's making a resurgence.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine all the people that were into vinyl just following the leader and going, well, I'm just going to buy CDs now,
right.
and through all their records.
Oh my God, that would have been, I cannot believe, I could not imagine people throwing away their vinyl for something like that.
So fashion
sure.
comes back around.
True.
Whereas sincerity tends to last a bit longer.
Right, and I think honestly we're seeing that a lot of like things that everyone considered were old and outdated, like making a resurgence in all across the industries, in fashion and magazines and media and music as well. So I totally can see that. For you, what do you feel like maybe the next steps for music? Like, do you, especially maybe the rock genre, do you see it kind of being very persistent in what they've been doing for the last, God knows how many fucking years they've been around? But do you see like it's still kind of being in persistence, or like some of the newer musicians that you see in the genre, do you feel like they're trying to be like this new agey kind of rock? Like what do you feel is kind of, well, like you said with the whole, what if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of mentality, do you think it's kind of being on that route as well?
I think everything goes round in circles.
Okay.
I went to see a show the other day, and the singer did the whole line about, it's going to get crazy tonight, and, have a smoke on me, have a drink on me, and 9 out of 10 people who've had a few drinks in them on a Saturday night, that's what they want to hear from their front man. They want to be able to go, woo!
Yeah.
And that's why that type of shtick's never going to die out. In terms of music, I mean, AC/DC, in terms of rock and roll, they never changed their format.
That's true.
Because it just remained pure to what they were doing.
Right.
And then you'll always get people that shun that kind of thing
right.
deliberately, even if they like it, just to be contrarians, and they are also known as hipsters. And every generation's got them as well. And I honestly think that if you just stay on your own path, at some point you're going to be in fashion, then you'll go out, then you'll come back in. But if you're constantly trying to follow fashion, you will be out of sync. And then you have people like, in the world of rock, Bowie, in the world of pop, Madonna, who set fashions.
Right.
Well, when you do that, and I'm not comparing myself to those guys, but when people are going their own path, they're never out of fashion.
Right.
They decide what is in and what's out.
Right. No, I gotcha. So it's really just being authentic to who you are as an artist and just carrying that through consistently.
But rock and roll will never die.
No, for sure. That in and of itself, for sure. I just know there's a lot of people that I've heard talking to up on the Sunset Strip. They're just like, oh yeah, like the old's gonna go out, this new age rock, and I'm just like, really? Like, where in the world do you think that's gonna happen?
People, I think there's a few people and a few venues up there, and I'm not going to name names, but they're too reliant on the nostalgia of the place. Because you know what? That scene that was once there isn't there anymore.
True.
People have moved on, and there are great new artists coming through, and if you hold them to the same standard as their predecessors, you're living in the past.
Right.
You're not embracing who the next global phenomenon is going to be, because you're too busy looking for someone who's already been and gone.
So they're kind of like stuck in the past without looking to the future of anything. Okay, I can see that. Especially for this area, and I kind of like to get your opinion on it. LA in and of itself is a very just kind of open community when it comes to identity, sexuality, and you kind of brought this up a little bit with kind of your music, how it's very just kind of fluid. Kids nowadays are, especially in the Los Angeles region, are very much identifying as like gender non-binary, gender fluid, gender queer non-specific, and it's becoming this atmosphere of sexual identity is really not a thing. It's just kind of whatever you feel in the moment. And you've had experiences with this growing up of like discovering who you are, what you like, all that. I like, for me myself, I knew gay man, done, whatever. But there are so many people that really are just they're discovering themselves. For you, what is your experience? You think with just like self-discovery? What, like, is a lot, you hear it a lot through your music of just kind of finding who you are, your identity and your personality. What do you feel like for you has been kind of your factors through life of going, okay, this is how I've been like discovering myself as an individual and really kind of becoming aware of who I am in this, first of all, in this, not just this world, but in this community of Los Angeles for yourself?
I mean, if you look at my guitar and all the colours on it and all the colourful characters on it, every one through from Hedwig and Elvira through to Butthead.
I love it. Hedwig to Butthead, yes!
You cannot, as I said, look beyond the curtain of a very grey suburban life.
Yes.
And go, oh, that's enough for me. You either love it or you hate it. And I love it. And growing up, in the 90s in England, where I was, there was always a finger in my face, metaphorical if not physically, saying, you are this, or you shouldn't be that, or the term gay would be used as derogatory. And to me, if you removed all that colour, if you removed gay people from music and cinema,
you'd be left of everything.
I mean, it'd be a Black Friday every day.
Yeah.
But so as I was coming through my own personal discoveries about what I was into, and how in which I loved, the way in which I loved, I realized something about myself, which is that I don't really have a sexuality. If I'm into someone in that moment, then I'm about them.
Yeah.
And I don't like the labels when people, like, I've had people, you tell them what you're into in that particular moment, and they go, but you like this as well. And they make that assumption.
Yeah.
And I don't have a little rule book. Well, let me just check if I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah. Is it Friday on a leap year of a third day of the second month? Like, and that's the thing too, is like people are so, and also the LGBT community does this so much where we label ourselves to death, and I feel like we're starting, this next generation under us is starting to get away from all that. They're starting to say it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is, what your gender identity is, what all this stuff is, as long as you do you, and whatever that may be, and whatever point in your life that may be at,
and I
go for
love that, and that's what, not all parts of LA, like I have had some homophobic abuse, as I said off camera, and it's funny, because I'll get it in the most random places, doing things that you wouldn't think would provoke it. But when I hear someone, and I'm not going to use the words, but when I hear them label me in such a way, all I think about is, you've got some repressed feelings on
Yeah.
the subject.
You've got something you're not sharing with the rest of the group.
And, you know, I'm flattered that you're using me as an outlet for it, but I don't want to sleep with you.
Yeah.
And that's got nothing to do with sexuality. It's just because some people are very ugly.
Yeah.
And so when I come over to West Hollywood and I just see people being who they are, what they are, and not having to explain it
Yes.
to anyone, and not having a panel of family and colleagues going, well, I think this about him, and
Yeah.
and it's so beautiful when you just stop caring what people think.
Yeah.
And this is certainly an area in which you're allowed to be that carefree.
Yeah, and I do agree. I mean, it's really, you don't want everyone judging you and assuming you are a certain way, and when it's just like, I'm just me, and everything else about that just happens to be secondary. It's not an identifying aspect of who I am as a person. I am not gay, I'm not straight, I'm not bisexual, I'm not all these different things. I am me, and that just happens to be a facet of it, of whatever that might be.
Yeah, and for example, one of the instances that happened with me recently some car drove by me whilst I was on an evening run.
Uh-huh.
So I'm 4 miles into this run. I'm sweaty. I'm by myself. I've got things on my mind, you know, just everyday
just
boring
running.
stuff.
Yeah.
Just running. In that moment, I was no sexuality. I couldn't have been further from feeling sexy about anything. I just wanted to get home and have a shower. And even through my glistening of an evening, those guys still saw something sexy in me. That's what I'd like to think.
And that's great. I mean, honestly, hell, I mean, if you can get it from both ends, get it. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's so many people worry about the labels and the, like, needing to fit in some specific group of all this, like, whatever we belong in. And quite frankly, especially around here, I do agree. I really love that everyone's just kind of like, do you, be good at doing you, and don't hurt anyone else doing it.
That's the thing. As long as whatever you're doing doesn't hurt anyone,
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter what you get up to in the privacy of your own bedroom. And I always think about what homophobia is.
Yeah.
And where it comes from, because I came from an environment where there were homophobic people around me, and I'd be labelled as, you know, gay for doing things that were actually very non-sexual. But when someone says, I have a problem with what you do in the privacy of your own bedroom with someone who is consenting and who you might be in love with,
Right, exactly.
and yet they have absolutely no problem with that person doing stuff with a cheese grater.
That's the best example ever. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
That's morally acceptable.
Yeah.
But doing it with someone you love,
An abomination, I tell you.
Cheese grater. Oh my god, I want to get a shirt. You and your cheese grater. I'm getting that. But it's so very true. It's like they're fine with the most benign things that just has nothing to do with it. But the moment it just becomes something atypical to what they think, they come out at you.
For example, elements of the church are fine with institutionalized child abuse.
Yeah.
But, you know, a homosexual amongst the pigeons, and that's too far.
Yeah.
And that to me sickens me, and it turns me off wanting to be religious, because I see the people that are in charge of that particular institution.
They do ruin it for the rest of us, for sure. And it really is. It just makes it kind of sad. And especially, I mean, the music industry in and of itself, I mean, I feel the music industry is one of the most fluid types of industries when it comes to gender identity, sexual, people like you mentioned, Bowie, Prince, Michael Jackson, Freddie Mercury, George Michael, like all these, guys were some of them came off very masculine, some of them came off very feminine, some of them came off like, who the fuck knows? And so it really is, you can't, especially with these artists and these icons, no one really cared. And it's like, why should we continue to care for the rest of us when you were so happy with, everyone thought Prince was gay as a freaking $2 bill, and then that movie he puts out where he is just like totally butch as hell. So I mean, it's just, there's no one way to identify someone, and just whoever they are in that moment, in that particular instance, that's who they are. accept it, and move on with your life?
Well, to me, growing up, it was funny because I'd hear middle-aged men who actually weren't too gay-friendly.
Yeah.
But they loved the music of Queen.
Oh my God.
So their way of describing it always amused me. You'd go, oh, I love Queen. And they'd go, Freddie Mercury was a great showman. And they'd latch into that. They thought if they called it showmanship, that was fine. And also with that, these people would get like really angry, because apparently being gay warrants, men getting really angry in packs. And then they go to a soccer match and they go, oh, I can't believe I saw those two guys kissing. I'm so angry.
Yeah.
And then their team wins and they're going, we are the champions.
Yeah, right. They're bipolar.
Yeah.
Well, for anyone that's really looking to start out in the music industry and really kind of wanting to branch out and just do their own artistry, what is some advice you could give them to really kind of help, like something you wish you could have told yourself 10 years ago when you first got into this? What's something maybe you would want to tell someone or give advice for of what they could do, what not to do? Kind of what would you say to someone just starting out in this field?
Never convince yourself that you know everything.
Amen.
And that applies in any aspect of life. But it's that moment where you're not listening to reason or good new ideas that you've stopped growing as an artist or indeed a human being. And secondly, it is important to have a sense of humour because there'll be people trying to kick you down every step of the way.
Yeah.
And thirdly, trust your gut. If you'll go into a room and you'll go, something feels a bit fishy here, and then they'll try and sell you something, and you'll go, that's why you were being nice to me earlier. I don't feel comfortable here. That's your correct answer.
Gotcha.
Wrapped in that moment there, get out.
Yeah.
And don't compromise on what you do because you want to make a quick buck because you want to impress just that one person in that moment, because that person won't be in your life tomorrow.
Yeah.
But the art that you're leaving behind will be here for all time.
Yeah.
So don't compromise on what you do.
I have so many artist friends of mine have said that they let people box them into a certain image or genre or like whatever, and they let someone control their music, and they said it sucked. And the moment they let go, they made that person let go of control of what they were doing, and they were just them. They said it was like, oh my gosh, my voice finally came out of what I really wanted to say.
And then they never saw that person again.
Exactly. They got rid of them, they're out of life, they were gone. But it's fantastic. So great words of advice. Thank you, Baz, so much for coming here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it.
I don't know how I should address an empress. What's the formal way? There you go.
Just like with a snap, a pop, and a little... Just bitch, yeah. I am the queen, bitch. No, not really. I'm just an asshole.
She's just the empress.
I'm just an asshole with a crown.
Well, I've never met an empress before, so I'm honoured.
It's the first. Yay! We broke his empress virginity. Hallelujah. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys spending the time with us here today. Make sure you tune in next week for our next episode, which will be so much fun. And we'll have a surprise guest that you want to check out. So make sure you tune in for that. I'm not going to tell you because I hate giving you guys spoilers, so fuck you. So thank you guys so much again. And also thank you to GayLifeLA.com for our amazing sponsors here today, as well as Kings Road Apartment Homes for this amazing space you see here. We're going to play you out a little bit with the Baz, so that way you can get a little taste of the music again. And thank you guys for joining us. Bye.
The skies are